Welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors and I'm your host. And today we have a very special show. It's all about Big Woody. I have three of his best friends here. I have Gina McGinnis, Sean McGinnis, and Uncle Ed Hunt. It's really not my uncle, but I think a lot of people, is that your name in wrestling, right? It's Uncle Eddie?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I thought this was, I reached out to you guys because I thought it would be something nice to do for Woody, seeing he was on this show 5 times. And we were going to do a boxing special, and I was holding out because I was trying to get a hold of Mickey Ward and Dickie Eklund. I wanted to surprise him and get them on with him. Yeah. And I think he would have flipped out if I would have been able to pull that off. But Woody passed away, March 15th? Sean, you told me around 1:35.
Yep.
Obviously, you guys were with them. Were you there too, Ed?
I wasn't there. I was there the day before.
You were there the day before. Yeah, and I had reached out to Todd Sopel, told him that I was sorry for his loss and stuff, and he was able to tell me how he got to go there and say goodbye, which is always a nice thing when you know someone's passing.
Definitely.
You know, my brother was in hospice before too, and he passed, and everybody was able to go see him, all his friends, everybody, so when people pass like that, at least you get that. You know what I mean? Instead of you talk to a guy, then you go home, and the next thing you know, you find out he passed.
Exactly.
And you don't get that little bit of closure. It hurts either way.
Yep.
But like I said, Woody was on the show 5 times. He came on with Luis Ortiz. He came on with Burley, and then he came on with Burley and Bugsy, and a couple times by himself.
Yep.
And we had a blast on here. He actually was easily one of my favorite guests because he always had something. You know what I mean? Because he was in the business for so long.
Yeah.
And from when he started to now, it's there's not many people still in the business of wrestling that started back
Not a
then,
lot. You're right. Exactly.
But we're going to tell Big Woody stories. Who wants to go first?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that when I die, I hope Todd Sopel's not around.
Okay.
I'd rather get that stuff
sure
in now, and when I get a little bit older, then maybe distance myself from Sopel.
Okay.
Other than that,
that's good.
We should be good. No, Woody's a guy who I've known since I was 5 years old. He grew up in town with him. He worked with me actually for many, many years. So we had a lot of stories from that, and playing baseball. He was a couple of years younger than me, but we were in the same Pony League team.
Right.
And traveled in the same crowd for a while, and he was a good guy to have. Always fun. We watched every WrestleMania with him for 20 something in a row. I mean, yeah. So he was boisterous and loud, and often if there were other people in the room, we would challenge each other to get the attention, because I'm kind of the same way.
Right.
We're kind of both full of it. So there's a little bit of a thing when there's a room full of people of him and I battling back and forth for attention. But no, he was a good guy, fun to be around, no doubt about it. Yeah.
And he loved all sports too. That's the thing. I mean, his banter's back and forth with Jason Stewart on Facebook were classics. I mean, going back and forth, arguing over stuff. Not really arguing, I don't think. You know what I mean? Just each telling their own point.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like to give me a story, Sean?
Well, let's see. Up until
Baby the boy. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I never really cared for sports much until 2014 when he moved in.
Yeah.
That was the time when the Royals, I believe, were playing the Giants in the World Series. Watched that, fell in love with baseball. Then next year, watched the Red Sox, 2015, every game. And if you recall, that year was not good at all.
Yeah, no, it was not good at all.
And then I suffered through that. The next year, I didn't watch it much. Then the next year, I recapped every single game, previewed every game, dedicated my life to it. Then, and I played baseball that year too.
I was going to bring that up, so yeah.
So I was working towards pitching for the most part, and just throwing, you know. And then
I do.
One of the coaches.
one time in the backyard, we were throwing the old ball around. We had poor Allie, or Golden, fat Allie. She sat next to him in the chair while he was catching for me. So I was 50 feet in the other direction, throwing balls. And I let one get a little too inside and pegged her.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it is kind of a funny story.
being the good girl she is, she gets up, walks around, lays back down right next to him. Something that he would have done, because
Right.
I nailed him in the knee a couple times. Like, he took it worse than the dog.
Really?
Yeah, every time. Yeah, that's not something he enjoyed.
Right.
He lived with it.
I know that Woody was very near and dear to your heart too, so
Well, it was like I had two boys at home.
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. Let's see, one of the stories is going back to Allie. My daughter and I were out in the yard one day, and Allie did this thing. It looked like she was having a seizure. Horrible. We thought she was dying.
Right.
She was foaming at the mouth. It was just horrible. We're both crying. We run in the house. We tell Woody, and now we've called him the dog whisperer since then. But he goes out, and he looks, hey, girl, what's the matter? And she gets right up, licks his hand, and like nothing ever happened.
Wow.
So
he was
that
the
was
dog
like-
whisperer.
He was the dog whisperer. Yeah, they were inseparable, just like these two were. So it
Nice.
was kind of nice.
That dog is him, but in dog form.
Yeah. I want to just read something from Anthony Mark Balkus, who, as you guys both know, loved Woody. He was telling, he says that one of the first couple shows that I started going to was APW, but it was Wrestling Star Wars then. And Woody, Ed, and Joe let my son Cameron go backstage and meet Luis Demon Ortiz. And I asked Luis if I could take a picture of you and my son. Luis said no problem, and Woody was sitting in a chair right behind me. I went to go take the picture, and Woody grabbed my phone, said, Anthony, get over there with Luis and your son. I'll take the picture. Woody was awesome to me and the family, but I would have not been in that picture if not for Big Woody. I've seen Anthony's post and talking to Woody and things like that. A lot of respect for the wrestlers Anthony has, you know. He had a picture put on a shirt, and I'm going to I'll send that to Dick, and we'll be able to put it up on here, you know. Yeah, he really, really loved going to APW, and I had talked to him one time on Facebook, and I hadn't gone there yet to a show at APW, and obviously Woody was gone by then. But he told me after I went, he didn't go that night because it was the one show I went to was the one just before Halloween. You guys didn't draw that good. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Anthony didn't go because they were having trick-or-treating and he's got the kids.
Right.
So he said, he goes, oh man, he goes, I wish you would have went to APW years ago when Woody was there. He goes, don't tell anybody, but it was better.
Yeah, no
know?
doubt, it was.
Yeah, but he really, really, really loved Woody and everybody else at APW, which I heard is like a family. Is that true? Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is, and it has been. We did have a down year or two after Woody left. This year we've rebounded quite well, and we're really strong again.
Definitely.
But there's something about the Fire Hall in Newbury.
Okay.
Nice venue. We had a couple hundred people in there. You know, if you drew 215, you needed extra seats, or there was standing room.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't a big room, but it was really, really a nice venue because it was quaint and everybody fit in there, and that's what brought the fans in. That venue helped quite a bit, and we had some good stories there. Like getting back to Anthony that night, I remember that to get him back there. Well, everybody wanted to meet Louis Ortiz.
Right.
Everybody wanted to meet him, but he was the demon,
Right.
and he was not going to go out there
Exactly.
and talk to kids and sign.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to do that. He was in character from the minute he got there
Right.
until the show was over and the place was empty. He wasn't the type of character that was going to talk to kids.
Right.
So that was a big deal that Louis agreed to do that, because normally he would say no.
Right.
He would say, no, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, maybe I'll send him a picture or
Yeah.
send a picture out to him or something signed, but he wouldn't actually speak to him. So that was actually a big deal. And I remember Woody just telling Louis that, you know, this guy's a big fan.
Right.
Let's see if we can pull this off once. And Louis went along with it, even though it was against what he usually did, but that was sort of the charm of Woody, to able to convince Louis to actually do that.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Because and Luis Ortiz has been around for so long. And real quick story, it's funny because you guys know Dylan Cage.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I do.
Well, Dylan Cage, now he puts the things in his eyes, right? No, my grandson, when he was little, was petrified of this guy. So every time, you know, Dylan came out, I had to take my grandson. This is at MWF shows, you know, the big stairs.
Right.
I think Melrose, right? And so all of a sudden, I'm not paying attention. Isaiah's on the ground. He's like I said, he's probably like 3 years old, and all of a sudden, here comes Luis out with thing on his head, and I grabbed him because I knew if he was scared of Dylan Cage, that kid would have cried and would have been shaking if he would have seen Lewis. So I grabbed him, ran him right up the stairs, and he's never seen Lewis in character, even now to this day, because he doesn't go to shows with me anymore. But I know for a fact he would have been definitely afraid. Probably would have never went to another show with me if he would have saw Lewis Ortiz that night.
Yeah.
Now, when Woody started in the wrestling business, he hooked up with Knuckles Nelson.
Yeah.
And worked with him. Wrestling Star Wars. He pretty much helped him start that company.
He did. What happened was when Big City Mike was running down there before, Knuckles was on shows, and Woody would be down there quite often.
Right.
And he talked about potentially joining that school and getting involved in down there, and that's where him and I went to a lot of the shows, and that's where we met Sonny.
Okay.
Sonny Goodspeed down there. He was Crusher Hughes at the time.
Yes.
We went to a lot of shows down there, and Woody lived, a block from the place. So at night he'd pop down and watch training and talk, and he was considering joining that school, and then Big City died. And he met, and in between the place that Woody was working, Knuckles got a job there. And he was driving a seafood place, and Knuckles was driving a truck, and then they met, and they became friends. And it was at that point when Knuckles started the wrestling school, and Woody joined that school, and he helped promote, and he helped with a lot of things, a number of things, everything. And if independent wrestling, nobody says, all right, you do this specific thing. Everybody's involved in a lot of things, sat in on meetings and whatnot. It was Knuckles' promotion, but I think Woody had his ear, and he learned a lot from Knuckles, and Knuckles learned some stuff from Woody, because Woody was a historian that had a lot of great ideas about how to do things.
Yeah, because he is a historian of wrestling, there's no doubt. And Knuckles, now, did Knuckles live down that way? Is he from that area too?
No, he's from Rhode Island, I think.
Okay.
And he moved down there, and he actually lived where they had the venue for Wrestling Star Wars. There was an apartment in there that he lived in there when they were running Wrestling Star Wars. They were there for 3 or 4 years, I forget, in that neighborhood.
Nice. Now, so Woody was trained by Knuckles?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said Big City Mike. Now I didn't realize that he was running shows down there.
Yeah.
Like before that, was it under the Star Wars, or was it just?
No, Big City Mike had his own, and I forget what it was called.
Okay.
And then he ran into money problems or whatever, and then Tony Rumble started running shows there. ECW was down there one night.
Right.
He had the lease on the building, so whatever. Then him and Rumble had issues, and then he died, and then Rumble started going in there. But yeah, yeah.
Because I remember on Rumble's TV show that he really put down. I don't know if you ever saw that episode, Big City Mike in the ring, and it was just.
Yeah.
Not very nice. That's all I could say.
Oh well, might have been deserved.
Yeah, probably. Now, Knuckles and Woody did a TV show similar to like mine in a way, like just as a wrestling public access show.
Yeah, they had a This Week in Wrestling. It was called. It was on.
They did over 100 episodes.
Yeah, on Adelphia Cable in Amesbury, and it was distributed around.
Right.
Brian Webster was the host with Knuckles and Woody, and any number of. Brian was pretty much always there, I think, and then Knuckles and Woody would filter in, and then when Brian couldn't make it, Knuckles hosted, and he had Woody with him, and then sometimes Arch Kincaid was in with him. He was just starting out at the time,
right?
And he was quite a character, that kid.
Yeah, the intellectual Arch Kincaid. He's had some issues with some boys down in the chaotic area. I'll just leave it alone at that. But yeah, but that's just awesome how they did 100 episodes. Believe me, I know 100 episodes. I'm up to like 100. This is 134.
Right.
It's hard to do 100, man. I almost quit a bunch of times.
Yeah,
you know,
you probably should have a couple.
I probably should have quit. You're right. And if it wasn't for my old friend Derek Dukes, my old co-host, I probably would have only did about 5.
This is mug.
That used to be his, but I've washed it 100 times.
I hope so.
I have.
Well, Dick gave it to me.
Yeah, but I got it first. Don't
you know, I met your producer Dick.
Yeah.
His mother named him right.
You like that, huh? Dick, I hope you like that one. You got to give, the other...
We stopped recording a couple minutes ago when he started talking.
Nice! That's the second time on this show that he's piped in like that. That's funny. All right, so I'd like to talk a little bit more about his career, too.
Okay.
Now, he was really known for doing that Big Woody slam.
Body slam.
Body slam thing. Did you used to see him in wrestling, too?
Not, only when it was at the fire hall.
Oh, okay.
That's when I
So when he was
started.
like APW.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when did that start, and how long did that go on?
Well, it was there for the duration of Wrestling Star
Okay.
Wars, which was 3-4 years. I forget how long they were there. Something like that. See, was it 98 or 99 to 2002? I think. I'm not
Right.
positive. I
Okay.
wasn't involved in that other than just popping down to support my friend.
Right.
But it was right around there. It was during the most of the duration of it that he did it. And yeah, it was a pretty big thing. And sometimes it was jokes, and sometimes it was guys that were actually trying to lift him and stuff like that. And sometimes it set up angles. You know, it was a good thing. And you know, the music hit, and the place would pop. It was good.
Nice.
It went over well.
Did anybody ever slam him?
No.
I was gonna say, because I don't know who could.
No, there's a video out there that is grainy, and
Yeah.
it's Brian A. Day, B-A-D.
Yeah.
It appears from a certain angle that he lifted Woody and threw him down, but it wasn't. It was like more of a hip toss,
Okay.
Beal sort of thing.
Yep.
So nobody ever did slam him. No, those checks were uncashed.
I'm looking at just the New England roster. The only guy that maybe would have been maybe Rick Fuller.
Yeah, Rick Fuller was down there.
He's big enough.
Rick Fuller was down there,
Yeah.
and he had no interest in attempting it.
Right.
Yeah,
One of the hottest chops in.
I wouldn't say that
too.
if Rick Fuller was here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's. I wouldn't
No.
even want to say anything bad about Rick Fuller
No.
if he wasn't here. Anyway, how about some wrestling stories? You have any wrestling stories, like going to shows with them, or maybe he told you some inside stuff, made fun of somebody?
All right. So, in my younger days, let's call it 12 years old.
Okay.
My mom was the leader of the cult, the PTO,
The what?
the cult.
Okay.
And so she organized the Mom and Son event through APW after hosting a couple of my birthday parties there. So like that happened.
Yeah.
And I believe he told Todd Sopel to go out there and like give the crowd some crap because it was just like a bunch of 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and their mothers. So he goes out and he calls everyone a bunch of mummies boys, and so that's kind of stuck around for quite some time.
Right. Good old Todd, huh?
Yeah.
Him and Woody were very close, though. You know.
Kinda gross.
And the Knuckle Busters. We have to talk about those guys.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, Bugsy and Bare Knuckle Burley. I remember Woody sitting right there telling me how one time they were in the bar. Was this at the fireplace? They have a bar on one side?
Yeah,
Okay.
there is one there, but there's more bar stories. Some are there and some are me.
Okay.
Go
Well, the
ahead.
one I remember is there was a guy that is now in NXT, was bartending, a guy by the name of Dijak.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, they'd be out there drinking beers before the show. They'd come in from the bar. That must have been like really cool for them to do, because I mean that's a lot different than most entrances
All right, yeah.
in independent.
Those are
wrestling.
kind of mixed up because they did the in from the bar on the main shows because they were in bars.
Right.
And they used to sit at the bar and then their music would hit and they'd put their beers down and they'd go. Now in here this was just a specific promo where the Knuckle Busters would. I think on YouTube it's the Knuckle Busters are denied a drink. If you search that on YouTube, and you'll see just starting out he was working security for APW. Chris Dijak was playing the bartender role, and they went up to get it, and they went up to get a beer. They gave him a beer, and then he leaned in a little bit too much, and he was in their view or whatever. They grabbed him and roughed him up just a little bit, and then that ended with famously with Bugsy saying, "Bugsy likes Woody's rules," and that became a little bit of a Bugsy catchphrase because
Right.
Woody would always have rules, and Bugsy always liked them. So yeah.
Now was in that role, like Bugsy was kind of like the guy that they kind of just not really pushed him around, but like led him around. Like it was more like whatever they said he'd do.
Bugsy was like his character was like the dull tough guy.
Okay.
You know, we were there when I can go back to Bugsy's first day. I mean, he's from Amesbury originally, lives near Salisbury. Found out about this and went down to Salisbury Beach where they originally had APW got a little school down there. Actually, it was just a ring set up, and people came in, like Bob Evans came in and taught a class or two, and then Derek Mitchell was teaching in there. Sopel came in. They'd bring guys in. This is early on.
Right.
And Bugsy was doing the security gig like everybody does, and he came in, and I just remember going down at the school and. You know, when he was starting to train, and he was very, very raw, well, green as they say, and he was but he's a big, strong guy with a huge personality. and he just looked like Bugsy McGraw.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember Woody saying, look up at the lights, and he continued doing it. Just whatever happens, like Bugsy McGraw used to, something would catch his eye. It might be something, and right in the middle of focus, he'd lose it.
Yep.
He'd lose focus, and then when some things got weird, it was like, okay, Bugsy, now you get an ice cream headache, and he does this, and like he's got ice, like he ate ice cream too fast. And that was the beginning of the Bugsy character. And then he worked with it, and Burley came in. Burley was more of a veteran, but not a veteran.
Right.
But he had been working shows when he came in, and he was not greatly along, but he was still the in-ring leader of that team,
Right.
where he would do things. And he did a great job teaching Bugsy a lot of psychology and whatnot.
Yep.
And along with Woody. And Woody took those guys who didn't have much going on. One guy had nothing going on. The other guy was kind of bouncing around. Burley was a good worker, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But that was something big for him. That was a good opportunity for Burley to get in that, and
Yes.
they really went with that, and
Yep.
and it worked out good. And Bugsy, as I said, would be like, they would like laugh behind his back, because this goes back to one of Sean's birthday parties where I got in trouble. Yeah, I was the ring announcer at Sean's birthday party, and Bugsy was out there wandering doing Bugsy things, and he went out and he grabbed. He grabbed pizza and started eating pizza and going like this, and I was a ring announcer, and I said, "Don't feed the Bugsy," and people laughed, and Woody got mad. He started yelling at me afterwards when I went back. "I'm trying to make this guy a heel. You're gonna make him," and
You got people laughing with
you could make Bugsy a heel to a certain point
Right.
at that time, but the point is that he was like a puppy dog, and people
Yeah.
were gonna love him. He was gonna be a babyface eventually.
Right.
But I may have pushed a little too quickly with it.
And that's funny that you said that, because I remember Woody talking about that too. That's where Bugsy was really the one that made them go to become like faces,
Mm-hmm.
because people wanted to love Bugsy.
Right. Yeah, you can't help loving Bugsy even right now. Legit,
Right.
if he walked in here, you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any wrestling stories, Gina?
Going back probably to the birthday party with the pizza, I think they ended up with a pizza fight at one point, and my mother was there, and oh my God, she was horrified, not realizing it was
Right.
like all, a show.
Crazy people.
Yeah, and she just said, they're wasting the pizza. And then I think cake went on the floor at one point. And, oh yeah, it was crazy.
Right.
Absolutely crazy.
Now, Woody also had another big thing in wrestling, the Three Kings.
Yeah.
That was Brian Malonis, Louis Demon Ortiz, Todd Sopel, and Woody as the power broker. Because he
Right.
told me right there that he's not a manager, he was a power broker. How did that all come about?
Well, we had brought Malonis in. I talked to Woody, and he said he's bringing Malonis in, and I said, oh, that sounds great. Malonis
Yeah,
is awesome.
he is.
And when he came in, he wasn't in the greatest of state. He's been on his podcast. He freely admits that he was pretty much out of the game.
Right.
He was thinking about checking out at that
Yep.
point, and he came in to APW and started having fun. And the way that those guys got put together, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what did it, but
Right.
but I remember the naming of it, and they were sitting around talking about naming it. But the concern of mine was, you take three guys who might be the top three guys on your roster and putting them together, who are they going to wrestle?
Right. I hear.
But we did bring people in, and we had some of our guys that stepped up. Evan did a good job with
Evan
those
Six.
guys.
Yeah.
So now when you got Evan Six
Right.
and John Poe,
Yeah.
you have a couple of big guys who
Very big
who
guys.
can wrestle and who make it believable to fight with three guys of that stature.
Right.
So guys like that really helped
Yeah.
a lot. And then Evan was a big creative influence on people, telling them how to do things. And he was very vocal about anybody that got involved with them. And it worked out well, because that is a scary thing, that you have too much weighted in one group, and it was going to be just those three and then Poe.
Yeah.
And then how you're going to work it. But it did work, and it worked well.
And it's weird too, because Poe, last time I had seen Poe was probably before we started with those guys with the Three Kings. He was in Chaotic, and then he was gone for a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so do you know how he ended up coming back there? Was that Woody getting him in there? Or?
Woody and I worked a VCW show. They wanted us to.
Oh, okay.
We were doing Invasion Angle, and we went up to Maine to do a broadcast.
Yeah.
And Poe and Belmont were both on there. Neither one of them had worked for us before. They were both on that show. And Mike McCarthy wrestled Poe in a chain match that night. and McCarthy just after the show couldn't speak about how great the guy was. I mean, we'd seen Poe, but I mean, him and McCarthy was a good clash of styles, and it was good to watch. And then I was talking with Kathy because I'd seen her, but she didn't work for us before. I was talking with her, and she said, "Yeah, I said, that's your brother?" Yeah, that's my brother.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And she said, "Yeah, he only lives a few miles from where you are. He only lives like 10 miles from Newbury." I said, "Really? He's local." So Woody and I went over and said, "We gotta talk to this guy."
Yeah.
And Woody told him what we're doing. Come on down and visit. Yada yada yada. And he came down. And it wasn't shortly thereafter where he told Kathy how fun it was. You better get down here too.
Right.
And then that all led to having her in there, and then that led to me starting the female division and Woody doing the men's division. So a lot of that happened. That one night in Maine happened for the next year or two of APW. A lot of was because of John Poe and meeting him that night.
Right. And he's very underrated. Because, I mean, back when he was wrestling with Chaotic, a lot of, people were, people talk crap about people behind their backs and stuff, I always thought, I have respect for anybody that steps in the ring. You know what I mean? I can go to any show, I don't care what the talent level is, and still have fun.
Right.
I don't go to shows and be like, I can't believe he won with that. Like some fans that I'm friends with, Jim.
Right.
But I've always enjoyed John Poe, in wrestling. Do you guys have any, maybe Three Kings stories?
Not with them. Actually, yes.
All right.
With the power broker thing.
Yep.
I forget who it was, but someone made him a nice little glass cup, and it was like painted on or something.
Stenciled. Right?
Stenciled.
Yeah.
And it was nice, and it was very nice quality, very heavy, very thick, and he was very proud of it because it's cool.
Yeah.
And then he was using it like every day, and then next thing we know, it's on the coffee table one day, and then we have the small dog Molly, and they love each other. So it was on the floor the next day.
Yeah, broken.
Yeah.
Oh.
There is a picture of it on Facebook with a root beer float in it, and that was the one time it was used.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are nice too. I used to work with a guy that does that. He did me one of New England Patriots. Like, it's wicked cool. So I do know what you're saying. Those things are nice. How about you? Any stories with any of those guys in Woody?
Not so much.
No?
I mean, I think Sean probably knows more about that than I do.
Okay.
And Ed.
What about holidays?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about holidays.
About holidays.
No, all right. And specifically, is it true that you have a Christmas tree in your house like right now?
Right now.
And it's year round?
Not
Yes.
a Christmas tree.
What is it called? I'm sorry.
Right now, what is it?
What is it called?
It is a Memorial Day tray now.
Well, it will be. Right now, it's got
Baseball stuff,
cards
right?
on it, and then
Okay.
we have WrestleMania stuff. We have figurines on it,
Nice.
wrestle figures.
figures.
Yeah, action figures.
Very cool. Maybe you guys could send me a picture and I'll have Dick put that in there too. Right? So we're talking about it now?
You don't want to see it.
Oh, yeah, we do. Come on. Yes, we do.
Woody had this great, he loved meatballs
Yeah.
and apple things. Those were his staple things
Right.
that I made and that he liked.
Weekly.
Now, if it wasn't a holiday and he just was in the mood for them, and he knew I worked third shift and I was sometimes tired,
Right.
he'd have this way of, oh, baby boy would really love those. So knowing I would make them for
Right.
Sean
Yeah.
before I would make them for him, but I'd make them for him too. So,
Right.
but that was his little way of getting me to make them quicker.
That's awesome.
And when you said no, I would usually end up getting a little payday out of it to really put the pressure on you,
I never.
Nice.
whether it be candy, food, or actual money. I get payday.
I brought up earlier how like him and Jason Stewart would go back on Facebook. I actually have a nice story. One time I'm watching a Bruins game, and now if you're a hockey fan, like you come over that blue line and you're a defenseman, and they're coming into your zone. You don't leave and go to the bench. Well, Big Z did that. He did it in the game, and the guy came right down, right where Big Z was before he went off, shot it, scored a goal. So I'm complaining. I'm like, come on, man, you gotta stay in your zone. You don't get off. Woody, from there, starts like, not arguing, but like saying, well, how do you know what he was doing, blah, 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 blah. Maybe, he was tired, this and that. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but like, you don't leave the zone when the puck's in there. Well, we're going back and forth for about 20 minutes, and Finally, he says, well, yeah, I just wanted to bust you because I didn't even watch it. He wasn't even watching it, and he's arguing with me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
had arguments that have lasted days.
And he didn't even see
And
it.
we agreed on the whole thing, the whole point. The whole time we agreed on the whole time. It was just something to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, though, because I'm like, what are you talking? And I know he knows the sports big time, so I'm like, how could he not be in agreeing with me? But it was because he was messing with me.
Yeah.
Which I think, not looking back now, with them not here, I love that. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's like exactly how Woody was,
No
his
question.
personality.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nice.
Oh, he wouldn't have to know anything about anything to argue about it for
Right.
hours. He would argue with Sean about soccer.
Oh my God,
For
he
years.
loved soccer.
And
Loved it.
How can you go to and watch 3 hours for potentially, maybe if you're lucky, get one goal?
Yeah.
He
You know,
did go to a couple games. Though.
he did go.
Because I know you guys love soccer. Well, you do.
Yeah.
You take it.
It's hard to
I mean,
watch nowadays.
I have a great respect for them. They're running up
of
and
course.
down, but
Of course. They're great athletes. I mean,
They
they're
are,
running
absolutely.
up and down. The things that they can do with the soccer ball, I can't do.
They can't do it with
Obviously.
their hands, though.
I think he had the
Yeah.
greatest Facebook post of all time 5 years ago during the 2014 World Cup. It was because a game had went into 30 minutes overtime, the 15 and 15 after. And he said, if the first 90 minutes of soccer weren't mind-numbing enough, basically, then they add another 30 minutes on top of that. That was a little hard thing.
yeah,
But so he did go to some soccer
they
games?
did. Yeah.
That's cool. Now I know like that the first time he came, I don't know why my voice just went so high. But the first time he came out, you came with him.
Yeah, I was in the back.
Yeah. And what did you think when he was on here?
He was a character.
Yeah.
Always was, always is.
Yeah. He pissed off my old co-host Derek. Because Woody said that Derek's first match definitely happened at APW. And I think it was one of the first ones we went live. And I don't even think I pulled out of the parking lot and Derek was texting me.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, relax.
Yeah,
You
that
know
was
what I
Yankee
mean?
Homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was his first
So
match.
It was his first match. See, Derek, now you're going to get mad all again. So I'm going to get text again later, but I love you, Derek. You know that. Yeah, so like I said, Woody was on here 5 times. Coming on with Luis Ortiz, that was more, he did me a favor because I wanted to get Luis and I had no way to get in touch with him. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm around the wrestling business. I am definitely not in it. And I make sure I tell people that because I don't want people to think that I think I am because I'm not, But he got Luis Ortiz down here for me. And honestly and truthfully, at that time, I probably wasn't his favorite person because of my situation I had going with Todd, but he
Right.
didn't care.
Right.
He knew that it would be good for Luis. It would be good for the people in New England that are watching the show.
Yeah.
It'd be good for me, and he knew he'd have some fun bringing his friend on.
Definitely, yeah.
You know?
And did he leave at the end of that show? That's the only time he's ever been shut up in his life.
Yeah, he left.
He unplugged and left,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
15, there was like 15, maybe a little less than 15. And he said, I'm giving the rest of the time to him. And he's like, yeah, people don't like Todd Soper. They can kiss my big fat. And he said the ASS word, ass. And he left. And
You can swear.
nothing for nothing, I'll be honest. I said to Dick afterwards, make sure you edit that up. I had to.
I'm a little uncomfortable with you swearing in front of Sean, too. He is the baby boy.
Yeah, that's all right, but he can handle it. He's in high school. What grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
June, same age as my daughter. So, did you have a prom coming up or anything?
Yeah, at the end of the month,
Are you going?
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, my daughter just went to hers. She had a blast. So hopefully you'll have a good
I'm
time
sure I
too.
will, but
Yeah,
yeah, so it is what it is.
right. Well, all right. So let's get back to Woody. When he decided to stop wrestling, he had to have stopped working with APW. Did his mood change at home at all, like a little bit?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because I'm thinking, when he's been in that bit, doing all that for so many years, so involved, to stop. So, how was he at home?
Coming towards the end of the wrestling career,
Yeah.
you could tell he was like getting angsty and all grumpy.
Right.
Then after it, he was like, looking for something. He needed like some closure.
Right.
Then like after a while it got better. Then he ended up getting more back into it a little bit after some time because he can't stay away.
Right.
Loves it too much. I remember this one time. I think he'd been living there with us for like a month or two at this point. We're like driving down the street in Seabrook, windows down. It was in the middle of the summer. It was like on Route 1 in Seabrook. And guy pulls up next to us with the windows down. Says, since my mom's license plate says Cena fan, I think everyone on earth is aware of that. Says, hey, you Cena fan? And he's like, no, it's not my car. Then he's like, she also has the Avon sticker on the back on the car. So she's like, do you do Avon? No, it's still not my car. And then light turns green, he goes, we go. Then I just look over at him, at Woody. I go, since I had like just started following wrestling and learning the phrase, look at him and go, fucking Mark. And he got it.
He must have loved that.
He got a kick out of it.
Yeah, of course. But Woody always was nice to the fans, though. As far, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, when he wasn't a heel, when he
was, yeah.
when he was a little bit of a heel for a while there, and then they kind of forced him out of it because
Right.
He used to sarcastically say our first year or two that we're here in Newbury where they love me the most, and they hated him the most there, but he always maintained that they loved him the most.
Right.
And eventually they did learn to love him, and it was hard to go back. He could, even when he had the Three Kings, he would do dastardly things.
Right.
And they would not like him, but it didn't continue on into life, like sometimes. So he just had too much charm for that.
right. Well, in a little over a month, some big things are happening. Big Woody's going into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he
and
is.
I will be there. Do you guys know who's inducting him? Does anyone know yet?
I have no idea.
I believe it's a combination of Luis Ortiz and
Knuckles.
Knuckles Nelson. I was thinking of
Nice.
his real name. Wasn't sure. Yeah. So
Nice.
So is Knuckles going to interpret the Spanish? Is that what's going to happen?
So they're gonna have their probably own little stories,
Right.
of how they got started.
That's
with
going to
him.
be awesome
Yeah.
because Joe Bruin puts on. Have you ever been down to?
I have. I was down there when Lewis went in.
Yeah. I mean, he puts on a great little
was
thing
good.
for the
Yeah.
New England area,
was good.
I went to my first one last year, and it was really cool. I mean, yeah, Brian Fury went in, Aaron Morris, and a bunch of guys that, like, I saw them from when they started.
Right, yeah.
And it's just a great thing. He's got, this year he's going even bigger because he took a couple of years off, or a year or two off, and he came back last year. And this year it's going to be huge. It's in a giant hotel. He's got all kinds of people coming down. I'm so looking forward to this,
Yeah.
And are you guys going to be there?
Sean's accepting.
Nice. That's awesome.
Gotta get your dose
Nice.
of Sean.
You're going to have a nice speech?
We'll see what happens. No,
All right.
we'll see.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll try to mess you up somehow,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember this one time, I think maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, it was the John Poe Evan Six street fight. You know that?
I do.
Yeah, and they had like kendo sticks.
I remember.
And after the match, like we had went home, and I like sent him a text message. I was like still like really into it. I said, "Hey, my mom was wondering if you could, snag a kendo stick for her." And then he's not buying it.
Right.
Next morning, I wake up and there's a kendo stick in the house. That shows what kind of a guy he was.
Yeah.
It always come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did it all come about to you guys with Woody living with you guys?
Well, when the boy here started getting into wrestling, we found out about APW.
Right.
And we've been to a few shows.
Wrestling Star Wars at the time.
Yes, wrestling Star Wars. And then I thought, wow, it would be nice. Sean, would you like a wrestling birthday party? So, of course, Woody was our contact.
Yep.
And we started chit-chatting. And then I met him one day for coffee and apple thingies. I had made
Yep.
apple thingies, and we got our coffee, drove up the coast, and sat and talked about, wrestling and, what the birthday party would be like and
Right.
stuff. And then I took him back to where he was living, and he says, I have to be out of here in a week. So then I went home, and I think I said, well, I don't know if I asked, but I said to my kids, I says, and I vowed I was never going to have another roommate.
Right.
So
We don't talk about that.
yeah. So I said, by the way, I asked somebody to come live with us, and he's a really nice guy, and I thought Sean would be, oh, wow, Big Woody's going to live with us. This is going to be so cool. My daughter, being more of a
Right.
young woman, adult, almost there, whatever, and she was really not happy with me. So I think the first day Woody walked through the door, she heard the door slam. He's coming out with bags. He opens the door and lets all 3 dogs run loose, and they're all over the neighborhood at this time. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So for a month, I think he got the cold shoulder from her, and but then they became like inseparable. They were like
That's
each
awesome.
other's confidants
Right.
for the 5 years. And
Now,
Sean was just like,
wasn't the original plan to have Hunter Wood in there for a couple of months too? But that didn't work out. No.
No, I wish. I love that man.
I like Hunter too. I do. He told me not to
Always
call him
have.
Cody, like if he comes on the show.
I prefer not to call him anything. I don't even. I have no use for the kid. But whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Another cute story with the dogs and
Yeah.
Woody. So like, it's political season, and I'm into it for whatever reason, and have this poster on the wall, and of Ted Cruz, not of him, but a campaign poster, and a knock is on the door, and he goes up, opens the door, out go the dogs. She's the girl is like probably like 20, is out looking for the dogs for like 30 minutes, comes back with the dogs, then they get like settled down, and then she asks, what can I do for you? Then she like looks around, sees the giant poster on the wall, and said she was campaigning for Hillary.
Oh.
And then sees the Cruz poster on the
Yeah.
wall. And he had to
Nice.
just kind of like break that news. Not interested.
Now, was Woody political? I didn't see a lot of political posts or anything. Was he?
Where were you looking?
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Well,
Did he?
well,
Maybe
he
I
doesn't-
missed him then. I don't know.
He was good at it. He wouldn't
Yeah.
jam it down people's throats. He wouldn't get in
Probably
stupid
why.
arguments about it. He certainly
Right.
had a lot of beliefs, and he just didn't.
respected people's differences.
He was smart enough not to be an idiot about it.
Right.
Was what it was. Yeah.
So was he a Trump fan or no Trump fan?
Let's not disclose.
We don't know about that.
You don't know about that, all right. Because like you said, though, there's some people that are on, and I have a good friend of mine, I'll say him right now, John McGrady, drives me crazy with this hatred of Trump. It's like hilarious. It's,
It is what it is, man.
Exactly. All right, so near the end, it's like a lot of people, they ask, how did he pass?
Heart stopped.
Was that, well,
No, I'm sorry.
I deserve that because I should have brought this up off air first anyways.
Okay,
But
I'm sorry. not really.
How long was he in hospice for?
3 days.
Yeah.
Like he was in and out of the hospital in the emergency room and the ICU for like a month.
Right.
Yeah, he went in, I think, February 27th.
I think it was way before that. It's like Valentine's week.
I don't know. I know it was after the Super Bowl, and he said he was going to go in the hospital or something, or rehab for his legs after the Super Bowl, but I know it extended a week or 2 after that.
Because I know at one point he had turned a corner and it looked like things were going good.
There were a lot of corners, a
Was
lot of
there?
ups and downs.
Right.
Like hope, false hope,
Yeah.
bad hope, and back to good,
Right.
and down.
Yeah. Now, I know that after he passed, you guys had like a celebration of life. I saw you guys later on that night at the Liberty Stage show. How was that? I mean, honestly, like a good turnout, obviously.
It was,
stuff.
and that was the show he was supposed to be at after he was supposed to attend when he got his leg, when he started to be able to walk really well again.
Oh, okay.
So we wanted to be there.
Right.
But the celebration of life, though, that was something.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe like say like 200 people.
There were a lot of people
That's
there.
awesome.
It was a heck of a
That's-
blend.
that's
It was a blend of his old neighborhood friends when
Yep.
he was young, his mom, her friends, his mom's, the people he worked with 25 years ago. I mean, the people from wrestling, the people from real life. There was just a huge,
Grog, yeah.
a huge blend.
That's awesome.
A huge blend of people that just didn't forget him. People that hadn't seen him in 20 years. That just,
Right.
that that had been in contact with him but didn't see him,
Yeah.
because he was an excessive texter and Facebook Messenger. So he wouldn't get too far away from anybody, even if he didn't see them.
And you could tell he was easy guy to love. You know what I mean? Honestly, like you said, you had over 200 people at the celebration. Like my brother was like a miserable guy.
Yeah.
Right? And people really didn't like him, but no, it's true. But I guess people really did love him because in the end there was like 300 people that came to his wake. So I
Really.
mean,
Maybe they're just happy he was dead.
maybe that could be it too. But he did a lot for people, and I could see that Woody was like my brother in that aspect where, like he would do things for people that he cared about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, Woody, there's a lot of people that blocked Woody on Facebook and said Woody was an ass
Right.
and all this stuff.
They were
I mean,
right.
it happened, and they were right. You had to make him the ass that you liked.
Right.
I don't think easy to love. I don't think is accurate. I think easy to like and easy to make you laugh.
Yep.
Very easy to make you laugh or to say he's funny, but to love him, I don't think that was easy at all.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of BS that becomes involved in it.
Yeah,
in
like
it.
we only focus on the good. Let's talk about the bad now.
All right.
Like every morning
do
for
it.
like 3 years, I had trouble getting up for school, and so this guy he would play the opening to the Banana Splits in his phone right next to my ear until I woke up every morning.
I like that because I was a huge Banana Splits
Yeah.
fan as a kid. Huge.
Yeah, but if you experience what I experienced,
Oh, right. No, I'm sure.
I have flashbacks. It's bad.
All right. What was like some of his favorite TV shows? We all know he loves sports.
Oh, my God.
Little
but
House.
What was it?
Little House on the Prairie.
Really?
Oh my gosh! If I see
Can you imagine that? Yeah. sure.
another episode, oh yeah, I
Wow.
said, I looked at him every day. I'd go in and out, in and out. You watching this again?
God forbid you talk to him when the girl went blind, because
Oh
he'd
my
be bawling
God.
his eyes out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I would have never guessed that
Yeah. Little
show.
House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
Also like MASH.
Yeah. I could see him like in that show. MASH was a very popular show. I mean, Little House on the Prairie probably was too, but I
Yeah.
just don't see, wow.
Probably
what-
Cheers. Cheers, he loved Cheers.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
on a lot now, so you may not have experienced that with
Right.
him because it's not on TV much anymore, but he loved that when it was on. Frasier.
All in the Family.
All in the Family,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that one now because of him.
The Office. That's the most, what you guys were watching.
He talked me
recently.
into it.
Did he?
Now I have the box set.
Show was fantastic. I mean, some of the things that were said on that and the Jeffersons, did you hear they're trying to reboot those shows?
Oh, really?
Yeah. That ain't gonna fly in this world today. Archie Bunker on TV today
No.
would not fly.
Oh, my
I
God,
mean, they
no.
just got rid of Roseanne, and Archie said and George Jefferson too said way worse stuff than she did.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
but
I won't say
that's so-
anything. I don't want to get your show off the air.
Did you like the Waltons too?
He watched that occasionally,
know.
but it was Little House.
Yeah.
He had
It's crazy.
reruns.
Depended how far the remote was from him.
I was right there. Yeah.
If it was too far away, then he'd watch whatever was on.
Right.
Near the end in the last few months, we
Yeah.
started getting into these cop shows, like Live PD. We sat down, watched that for like 3 hours Friday night, from 9 to midnight, and Saturday night when nothing was going on.
Right.
Nothing else was on. So I just had that on in the background. We watched Cops. We watched the Scared Straight shows, all those good ones. Then he bought Oz, the box set for that.
I watched that.
I couldn't get on board with it. Made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make you not want to go to
Yeah,
prison.
Yeah. Go with
Let's
that.
That's for sure. I mean, not that we want to go to prison anyways.
Every
I'm
10 minutes, somebody gets raped in that show.
Yeah, and honestly though, that show was good.
Yeah, if you like
Scary.
rape, yeah.
Yeah, if you like rape, yeah, I guess so. But so he bought the box set,
Yeah.
because I own the box set too of Oz. That's funny. All right, so Ed, what's your very first time you met Woody? You said you've known him forever. Do you remember the first interaction you had with him?
Maybe one of the first.
Okay.
He came and was the bat boy for my little league team. He came down there and somebody gave him a hat, and I took it away and told him he wasn't on the team, and he couldn't have the hat, and I took it to my house. And then he said something, and he had like a pudgy face, and he said something, and I called him Japanese because his eyes were going like that. And, hey, we could talk like that back in the 70s.
Right.
So yeah, so I was really nice to him first time I met him.
Yeah, it sounds it. Now, Woody graduated in 85. I read,
Sure.
Yeah, 1985. I graduated in 83. I'm a couple years older than Woody. But like you were saying earlier, though, like as a historian of wrestling, that guy knew, like, he's...
Yeah. Boxing historian too.
Yes.
Let's get back to something that somebody you know.
Okay.
This is a good Woody story with me.
right.
We went, and I noticed Sean went to the Golden Gloves this year. That's something he might have passed down. Woody and I went to the Golden Gloves, gosh, must have been 8 or 9 years ago.
Yep.
And we used to go to that all the time. And we would go there, and we were there the finals one night, and Mickey was there, Mickey
Yep.
Ward. Well, when Mickey's in Lowell, he doesn't want to be weird. Like I'm coming out of the bathroom. You know how you go down? You have to go downstairs into the bathroom.
yes.
I'm walking up the stairs to come out, and there's Mickey coming down the stairs. I don't know Mickey. I've never
Right.
met Mickey, but I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I go, hey Mickey, how you doing? Well, we're in Lowell, and Mickey looks at me. He knows he doesn't know me,
Right.
but just in case,
Yeah.
he's gonna play it up a little bit.
Yeah.
He goes, hey buddy, how you doing? And he hugs me, and he puts a big kiss on my cheek. He goes,
he's been drinking.
Nice
He's
to,
been drinking.
No, not Mickey. nice to see you, he said.
Yep.
So that came, and Woody was at the top of the stairs. I said, well, Mick, what took you so long? Mickey Wood kissed me down coming out of the bathroom. So for that story kept growing and growing and growing about how myself and Mickey Wood would stare into each other's eyes and tenderly kiss. So, and yeah, Mickey had the softest lips I've ever felt.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, though, he really is the nicest guy in the world. And you're right. He probably didn't want to offend you. Probably like, oh, man, I must know this guy. So,
Yeah.
But if he gave you a kiss, he definitely was drinking. We used to pick him up, and he was the quietest guy. Wouldn't say a word. Go have a couple beers in one bar. He'd leave. And he'd be like, after like 6 beers in him, he'd be singing every song on the radio. He became a 100% different person.
Yeah.
But I really, really wanted to get him on here with Woody, and I wanted to surprise him, and I wasn't able to do it. I actually went to the finals this year, the Golden Gloves, the last night. And
Sean was there.
I saw you there.
Yeah, that's right. I saw you there. And I went to talk to Mickey, but there was like 30 people around him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't, so I just kept going. Then I saw Dickie. So I'm waiting patiently behind him. And all of a sudden, people are leaving. Finally, I tap him on the shoulder, and I'm like, hey, Dickie, what's up? And I've known Dickie for a long time. Double-fisted beers. He was so drunk, he didn't even know who I was. Hey, what's up? I'm like, well, that ain't going to work. I was like, hey, good to see you. And I just walked away. But I wanted to set you know what I mean? To, set it up. But he was just too drunk.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get at Mickey because, like I said, he's in Lowell, his hometown, and everybody wants to talk to him.
Right, of course.
But he's the same exact guy that I used to pick up when we were 21 years old and go drinking. Same exact guy. Most guys, you're a big boxing fan. They don't have a great name, boxers, especially after they get out. They still like
Right.
to punch people and
Yeah,
women.
exactly, right.
You know what I mean? But Mickey and Arturo Gatti and their big 3 fights, they changed a lot of perception of. Not every boxer was looked at it that way anymore because of the respect they showed each other. After beating the crap out of each other for 30 rounds, they became best friends.
Yeah.
It
It was a lot different. Earlier on, I mean, you'd see guys get their ass whipped.
Yeah.
And then after the fight, they'd say, the guy never hurt me.
Right.
Never hurt me. They would refuse to admit there was that
Yeah.
machismo involved
Yeah.
where would admit it.
Right.
I still don't like him because I just fought 15 rounds with him, and I'm not going to come and tell you how great he is
Yep.
and what a warrior he is. I'm not going to do that. And,
Right.
and a lot of the Gotti Ward stuff did bring some of that out because they loved each other.
Yes.
Yet for 12 rounds, they would do the best they could at their art. So,
Yep.
yeah, it did change some people's minds. I agree.
Absolutely. And like you said, people wouldn't put the other guy over. They were putting each other over.
Mm-hmm.
They asked Mickey in the third fight, in the second or third round when he got hit and it ruptured his eardrum. And they asked him about that, and Mickey's like, after that, I don't even remember anything. He goes, my eardrum, he busted my eardrum.
Right.
My equilibrium was off. He goes, I did anything just to be able to stand in the ring for 3 minutes around. You know what I mean? And
You can't even
just
say
to
where he wasn't.
survive.
Remember what they used to call that, but you can't say that anymore because it's an offensive
Yes.
term, what street you happen to be on, but you can't say that anymore.
Yeah, you can't say
Okay.
that anymore.
All
That's
right.
true. All right, we got only a couple minutes left.
Talk to them. I'm
right.
boisterous.
I want to go back to the holidays. Looking back, you know what I mean? Is there any certain Christmas or anything that just sticks out at you and you're like, that you'll remember forever?
What do you think?
Go for it.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Oh, this one. 2 years ago,
I don't know.
he was getting a car for Christmas, and he didn't know he was getting a car. So Woody had his brother-in-law hide the car at his house. So we were going out early morning to get donuts, and Sean's like, "Oh, can I go?" I'm like, "No, it's snowing out. It's horrible out. Well, just stay in bed." And so we got to the house. I drove his car, and Woody drove my car home. And Woody thought that was to be involved in that
Right.
special gift.
Yeah.
You know, he just thought it was the best thing being part of that, and I'm so thankful for him.
Nice. Now, how did the nickname Baby the Boy come about?
I think you played a part in that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I called him baby boy because his mommy loved him so much. I was just teasing a little bit. But
Yeah.
I don't know how that came to V Boy. I don't know how that got involved. That was all him and Woody that did that one.
It started with Allie T Dog, Allie the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of
Okay.
transformed into that,
So
and
they-
Big the brother.
Yeah, so they both had the same initials, BTB, Baby the Boy and Big
Okay.
the Brother, which
Right.
is inscribed on the ring.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's awesome. So let me see that. That is pretty awesome, though. I saw it. Now, is that you holding his
Yes.
hand in that picture? Because that's awesome. That really is.
In his vegetated state.
In his vegetated state. So I mean, I understand it. It was hard, you know, when he passed and all that. But like, was there any relief in knowing that he wasn't suffering or anything anymore or anything?
I guess
Because
I'm
at least with my
selfish.
brother,
I'm-
it was. That's you, because he really was.
Once
He had a cancer.
once they know it's not going to happen,
Right.
you just want him to go.
Right.
Once you can't speak with him, that's why when he was there and we realized that we could talk with him again, you know,
Yeah.
we didn't know we could. And when they had that 3 to 4 days where we could talk with him again, that was awesome. And then when we knew we weren't going to have that again, it was like, we can't talk with him anymore. At least for me, that was like,
Right.
okay, it's never going to happen again.
Right. Guys, listen, unfortunately, the time has ended, but I really want to thank you guys for coming on. I reached out to you guys because I really wanted to do this because Woody was a really good friend of the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So thanks.
Thanks, Leo. It was nice to come in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Connors.
Thank you. We're out. Peace.